7 million pounds of exploding rocket fuel separate you from the freezing void of space. You are strapped to the tip of a metal cylinder, waiting for the countdown to hit zero. Most people imagine a trip to Mars as a grand adventure, a heroic leap for mankind. But the universe does not care about our heroes. The moment the engines ignite, a silent clock starts ticking, and it is not measuring the time until you reach the red planet. It is measuring the exact moment the sheer, mechanical hostility of deep space finds a way to shut down your vital organs. The assault on your biology begins before you even leave the atmosphere. As the rocket claws its way up through the sky, gravity fights back with terrifying force. 3 gs, 4 gs, 5 gs of pressure press down on your chest like an invisible concrete slab. You cannot inflate your lungs. Your heart struggles violently to pump heavy blood to your brain, fighting against the crushing weight. If the acceleration lasts just a few seconds too long, your vision tunnels into a pinpoint of gray light, and you pass out. But the real physical horror starts when the engines cut off. Absolute silence falls. You are floating. It feels peaceful, almost spiritual. Do not be fooled. It is a biological trap. In 1973, astronauts living on the Skylab space station discovered exactly how quickly the human body begins to eat itself in zero gravity. Without the constant, heavy pull of Earth to fight against, your body assumes it no longer needs its structural support. Your bones stop rebuilding. Your skeleton literally begins to dissolve. Calcium floods into your bloodstream, calcifying in your kidneys and creating agonizing stones. Your spine, no longer compressed by gravity, stretches out, causing blinding back pain. Your heart, suddenly unemployed from the hard work of pumping blood upward, begins to shrink and weaken. The fluid in your body floats up into your head, making your face swell while your legs wither away to bone and skin. If you had to stand up on the surface of Mars right now, your weakened legs would snap under your own weight. But you are not on Mars yet. You are barely out the front door. Earth is shrinking behind you. You are crossing the invisible threshold of the Van Allen radiation belts. For your entire life, the magnetic field of our planet has shielded you from the unseen artillery of the cosmos. Now, you are stepping out of the bunker and walking naked into a galactic crossfire. In 1969, the Apollo astronauts traveling to the moon reported seeing strange, bright flashes of white light, even in pitch darkness, even with their eyes squeezed completely shut. They were not hallucinating. High-energy cosmic rays, microscopic shrapnel fired from exploding supernovas on the other side of the galaxy, were blasting through the thick metal walls of their spacecraft. These particles were passing straight through their skulls and violently striking their optic nerves. Now, imagine enduring that relentless bombardment for 7 straight months. Every single day, microscopic bullets are tearing through your DNA. They act like molecular scissors, snipping the delicate chemical strands that hold your cells together. Your body desperately tries to repair the damage, but under constant fire, it makes fatal mistakes. Cells mutate, tissues degrade, clouded cataracts begin to form over your eyes. The longer you float in the dark, the closer your own body edges toward complete cellular collapse. And cosmic rays are just the background noise. The real monster is sitting dead in the center of our solar system. The sun is not the warm, friendly yellow orb you see from your backyard. It is a chaotic, boiling nuclear reactor, prone to violent and unpredictable tantrums. Sometimes, it violently burps out a coronal mass ejection. A billion tons of highly radioactive plasma hurled outward into the dark at 1,000,000 miles per hour. In 1989, one of these solar storms hit Earth and completely melted down the power grid in Quebec. Earth took the punch with its giant magnetic shield. Out here in deep space, you have absolutely nothing to hide behind. If a solar flare catches your ship in transit, warning bells will scream, but you cannot outrun it. The radiation levels inside your tiny cabin spike instantly. It is exactly like standing naked inside an active nuclear reactor core. Your skin would not burn, but your insides would melt. Acute radiation sickness hits within a few short hours. Violent nausea, internal bleeding, a complete and total collapse of your immune system. The delicate lining of your stomach and intestines begins to slough off. You would slowly, painfully dissolve from the inside out. millions of miles from the nearest hospital, locked forever in a metal coffin. But maybe you are incredibly lucky. Maybe the sun stays quiet for the whole trip. You still have to worry about the absolute zero of the void, just a fraction of an inch away from your face. The aluminum walls of your ship are frighteningly thin. Out here, empty space is not empty at all. It is a hypervelocity minefield of micrometeoroids, grains of rock, ice, and dust traveling at 50,000 miles per hour. In 2022, engineers checking the newly launched James Webb Space Telescope were horrified to find that a tiny micrometeoroid had already smashed into its pristine golden mirrors, leaving a permanent, unfixable crater. If a rock the size of a marble hits your habitat module, it does not just dent the metal. It punches a hole clean through. The air pressure drops in an instant. The oxygen is violently sucked out of your lungs. If you panic and try to hold your breath, your lungs will rupture and tear like overinflated balloons. In the near vacuum of space, the boiling point of liquids drops dramatically. In 1965, a technician named Jim LeBlanc accidentally depressurized his space suit inside a vacuum chamber on Earth. Just before he lost consciousness, he felt the saliva literally boiling on his tongue. If your hull breaches, the tears in your eyes and the blood in your veins will bubble and turn to gas. Nitrogen bubbles form inside your joints, twisting your limbs in agonizing, crippling pain. You have roughly 15 seconds of useful consciousness before the blackness takes you forever. Yet, the most insidious killer of all does not come from outside the ship. It grows inside your own skull. As weeks turn into months, Earth becomes just another pale bright star in the eternal blackness. In 1990, the Voyager 1 probe turned its camera around and took a photograph from 4 billion miles away. The pale blue dot, a single, fragile pixel containing every human being who has ever lived, every memory, every person you have ever loved. Watching that dot shrink day by day does something terrifying and unnatural to the human brain. The isolation is absolute and crushing. There is no real-time conversation to keep you grounded. If a critical emergency happens, a radio signal takes up to 22 minutes just to cross the void and reach Earth. It takes another 22 minutes for the answer to come back. 44 minutes of deafening silence while alarms blare, lights flash, and precious oxygen vents into the freezing dark. The human mind is simply not built for this extreme level of sensory deprivation and confinement. The constant, droning hum of the life support fans slowly drives you mad. Paranoia creeps into your thoughts. Sleep patterns shatter completely. The few people you are trapped with inside this tin can become strangers, then annoyances, then perceived threats. You realize you are entirely alone in an ocean of dead space, and your mind slowly starts to tear itself apart, long before your physical body fails. Against all impossible odds, you survive the agonizing transit. The red planet fills the window. A rusty, dead, frozen world. But arriving is only half the battle. Now you have to land. Spacecraft engineers call this the 7 minutes of terror. You hit the Martian atmosphere plunging at 13,000 miles per hour. The air here is incredibly strange. It is exceedingly thin, less than 1% of the atmosphere you breathe on Earth. It is way too thin to catch your ship softly and slow you down, but it is just thick enough to burn you completely alive. The extreme friction turns the sparse air around your ship into a superheated plasma shockwave, glowing at nearly 3,000 degrees. It is hot enough to instantly vaporize solid steel. Your heat shield takes the absolute brunt of it, glowing a blinding cherry red. The massive G-forces slam back into your weakened, brittle, dissolved bones. The ship rattles violently, vibrating so hard it feels like it is being torn apart rivet by giant invisible hands. Because of the extreme communication delay, you cannot pilot the ship manually. You are trusting completely in automated code written years ago. You are just a helpless passenger in a falling bomb. If the angle of your descent is off by just 1 single degree, your ship bounces off the upper atmosphere like a stone skipping across a pond, throwing you back into deep space, lost forever. If you come in just a little too steep, the heat shield instantly fails, and you are incinerated into ash in a fraction of a second. If the supersonic parachutes do not open perfectly in the impossibly thin air, Or if the retro rockets fail to fire at the exact millisecond they are supposed to, you smash headfirst into the red dirt. You become nothing but a brand new crater on a barren, silent world. Let us say you make it. The dust finally settles. You unbuckle your harness and step out onto the freezing, rust-colored dunes. You survive the brutal launch, the silent radiation, the creeping madness, and the screaming fire of atmospheric entry. But as you look out over the frozen, completely silent wasteland, you realize the hardest, coldest truth of all. The universe was not actively trying to kill you. There is no malice in the dark. It is far, far worse than that. The universe simply does not care that you exist. The suffocating vacuum, the shredding cosmic rays, the freezing cold, the endless, mind-bending distance. These are not villains plotting your downfall. They are just the natural, default state of everything. We are the anomaly. We are fragile bags of warm water and electricity, clinging desperately to a tiny rock, pretending we have the right to conquer the stars. The true killer on a journey to Mars is the vast, completely uncaring reality of the cosmos itself. The sheer, overwhelming scale of a universe built purely on entropy, decay, and time. It will wait you out. It will wear down your pristine machines. It will freeze your artificial air, and it will eventually reclaim every single one of your borrowed atoms. Because when you sit strapped to the tip of that metal cylinder, waiting for the countdown to hit zero, you are not conquering space. You are just stepping into a void that has been waiting billions of years to swallow you whole.